It is Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here. Patrick Reusse with me as well. Patrick, no shortage of stuff to talk about. What a weekend, huh?
Oh man, the NFL drives me crazy in a lot of ways. For the way they treat their players as collections of meat and everything else. But we were reminded of again this weekend that the NFL is this monster and everybody else is just around the perimeter there. But there's some stat floating around that 17 of the top 20 network ratings this year are all NFL games. The average NFL game does twice as many viewers as the best TV show you got going as far as a weekly show is considered. So, and I can't imagine what the ratings were this weekend, and capped by last night, which was incredible. Buffalo and Kansas City, and what, Mike?
Yeah,
the Buffalo calls timeout. The other team's got what, 8 seconds left? Was
yeah.
it 8 seconds left? And your strategy, or was it? I guess it was 8 seconds when the play was over, right? Was it eight? No, they had 4 seconds.
4 seconds when the play
And
was
your
over. Yeah.
strategy is to let Kelsey run wide open 25 yards down the field. That cornerback in that side turned around and started guarding the sideline. They had a timeout left.
They had two timeouts left. Yeah.
Yeah. What are you guarding the
I don't know.
sideline for? What a moron. They called timeout. And the shot that they showed you, there were 25 yards in the middle of the field that weren't covered.
No.
And how can you let just Kelsey just run down the field and hit a chip shot field goal? Man alive. Sean McDermott is supposed to be, he's a defensive guy, right? Wasn't he a defensive guy?
I believe so.
Les Frazier is going to get all the awards as the assistant of the year. What the hell did they tell their team during that timeout?
I don't know.
You got to say, cover somebody. That was incredibly stupid. And do you think that defense quit a little bit on once they got to overtime? God, that was pitch and catch. That was Eden Prairie against Fulda, down the stretch. It was there was no stopping them now, and it would have been an amazing weekend if Buffalo. Well, it was an amazing weekend, but if Buffalo had won as they should have, all four road teams would have ended up winning all four lower seeds. It was an incredible weekend, and Saturday's games were really snot-nosed, tough, nasty games, and then yesterday they were both shootouts, and the Rams basically kicked the hell out of the Bucks. They just kept fumbling, trying to get the Bucks back in the game. But one of the phenomenons of the NFL in the last, I don't know how long, 3 years, you get the ball left with one timeout and 25 seconds to go. It doesn't make any difference where you are. Somebody's going to kick a field goal and tie the game, or win the game or something.
I was going to bring that up to you. It's like, it doesn't matter how much time you have left. They had 13 seconds when they got the ball. And it was like, I was almost going to tweet sarcastically, Allen left him too much time. But I was like, actually, he kind of 13 seconds is enough time.
Well, they should have kicked the ball,
yes,
pooched her down to the 15 and made them. So what if they run it back to the fact that they now get to take the ball out to the 25 instead of the 20? That makes a difference.
It does.
And you cannot, and it doesn't take any time. So what if the guy returns it to the 32? If you get him to take 5 seconds, you've accomplished something. But it amazes me. And I think it's obviously the game is played in such a frantic place, a pace and crazy, violent, wild game. But the amount of stupidity you see on a football field is just incredible. The dumb things that people do. Did you feel like you really wanted the Vikings to go back and get Mike Hughes last night?
He fell down. He fell down.
First time he fell down. Second time he didn't cover the guy.
Yeah,
it's I've never seen defensive backs that afraid to get near anybody. It was just unbelievable. That Josh Allen is a horse though, and Mahomes is amazing. And I guess that's the whole difference in the game right now. If you're great at quarterback, you're in it, right? So
yeah, well, I mean that's kind of the story of the weekend with with San Francisco notwithstanding. I mean, you had Stafford making a lot of plays, giving the Rams that big lead, and then you had Tampa Bay choosing not to cover Cooper Kupp on two huge plays down the stretch. I mean, he just goes, it was almost like the Kelsey play where he just ran straight down the field and they were trying to cover him with a safety on that last play before they set up that field goal.
Antoine Jr. was the guy trying to cover him. He just ran by him. And I don't know why Antoine Jr. was, not getting deeper there, when he was running by him, but he just flew on by him. Yeah, that would have been one of the worst losses ever if the Rams lost it, because they would have just handed it back to them. They kicked the hell out of them all day long, and ended up handing the ball back to them all day long. So that would have been terrible. And I found out, we were reminded of another thing again yesterday. The Viking season is now a success because the Packers lost.
Yes.
Our fan base, our hardcore fan base, is happier when the Packers lose than when the Vikings win. It's incredible how happy they were. And by the way, Rodgers was terrible. Why? There had to be more receivers on the field than Devontae Adams to try to throw to, didn't there?
Yeah.
He didn't try to throw to anybody else. The guy with three names, whatever his name is, did they ever throw the ball to him?
Valquez Standling here.
Whatever. They never tried to do anything. Now they got a bad pass rush, obviously, but I think it was Rodgers' last game there, don't you?
Take a playcation to Mystic Lake for 24/7 gaming, fun restaurants and bars, and luxurious hotel rooms. And join Club M to bask in the rewards. Follow the lights to Mystic Lake, where every day is play day.
It feels like it. I mean, it had that whole last go around feel to it all year. And then when you get to the playoffs, I was reminded of, remember when LeBron was in Cleveland the first time, and he's just been kind of pushing uphill, got to the finals pretty young. And then I think they played the Celtics in that last series, and it was like the conference semifinals, and they ran out of gas, and he didn't have it in that last game. Just kind of didn't have it in that last game. And that's what that game felt like yesterday to me. And you never, or on Saturday, you never know. I mean, but to lose 13-10 at home to San Francisco, it just felt so flat, like it was kind of over.
Yeah, it did. And it was, I mean, why does that team, and it's been this way for years, why don't they spend any time practicing special teams?
That's what cost them the game.
They ignore it terrible. They've been terrible for years. And all during the LaFleur area, it's like they don't care about it. And it did cost them the game, but I looked it up. I did a little bit of math. The first drive, and then the 75-yard play to Aaron Jones, right?
Yes.
Take out those two. They only ran 43 plays for 119 yards.
Oof.
In the rest of the game.
That's amazing.
The incredible. I didn't count them up, but they must have had 6 3-and-outs, didn't they?
They had a bunch. Yeah. I mean, they had 9 drives that got them 3 points after that touchdown drive at the start of the game. And I think you mentioned that some candidacies took a hit in the playoffs. I mean, you talk about Nathaniel Hackett, the Green Bay offensive coordinator. That didn't help. Todd Bowles with the Bucks. They did not look good against the Rams. You talked about at the outset, Leslie Frazier maybe not doing himself any favors, although Dable definitely helped himself.
Yeah, but it was Yeah, it was an amazing weekend for the NFL. They're drinking champagne in the NFL office today. I'll tell you the ratings they had and the way this round worked out, because last week's play wasn't nearly as interesting, and this was incredible. This might be the greatest NFL weekend of all time.
It was great
when you consider you had overtime and then 3 field goals that were the last play of the game that won the game, and unpredictable results, and a lot of dumb things too. Tennessee played stupid down the stretch, and Tannehill threw 3 interceptions. A couple of them were tips, but a couple of them were terrible passes. And but it's I want one great thing about the NFL is the screw ups are just as interesting as the good plays, aren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, the screw ups are
they're massive.
They're phenomenally interesting, and that's what they got going for them. And wow, it was that thing last night, though. I tell you what, I would be afraid to be walking on the street in Buffalo, New York this morning, because some guy just might come up and punch you for no reason, just because he's mad at the world. That no town is as much, Green Bay and Buffalo, maybe the 2 most emotional towns about their teams in the country. Buffalo is crazy for it. I can't imagine how mad they are this morning about that.
They lost that game. Yeah.
They haven't been back, right, since the
no
4 in a row.
No.
So they are us, really. They
Yeah.
are us. A lot of people make that comparison. The only 2 teams to lose 4 Super Bowls without ever winning one, and the periods of non-contention, and then they've actually had longer down periods than the Vikings have had. But
yes,
and unbelievable.
What do you make of? Let's tie a bow around the NFL, and we'll move on to some other stuff. I mean, quarterback is obviously, when you're talking about whatever the Vikings are going to do here with whenever they hire a general manager, whenever they hire a coach. So maybe we can talk about quarterbacks and Aaron Rodgers a little bit too. Just if this is it for him in Green Bay, I just kind of went back since they won that, kind of Super Bowl out of nowhere.
Yeah. Where
in 2010 when they beat, Caleb Haney in the NFC title game and won the Super Bowl. He's 7-9 in the playoffs since then, 0-4 in NFC title games. It's weird to me that I look at him and say he's the greatest passer I've ever seen, and yet in those games, I don't know if it's him or if it's the team, but that legacy is more complicated to me than I ever thought it would be.
Well, 2 of those, though. I mean, the one at Arizona put up 40-some points, right? And they lost that.
That was a playoff game, but not an NFC title game.
And the Seattle game.
Not his fault. Not his fault.
That was whoever the guy on the onside kick was.
Right.
But yeah, he has not. The ones they've lost 2 in a row at home, right? And then what's amazing is that they've had the number 1 seed now 3 times. Is it 3 times?
I think they were the 2 seed a few years ago, and then they've been number 1 the last 2 years. So they have. I saw the stat that they have the most regular season wins over a 3-year span of a team that didn't go to a Super Bowl during that span. They had 39 regular season wins, didn't go to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he just looked. He looked disgusted with the protection last night, and Saturday night, and I don't know. He did not have it. And they obviously had the good pass rush, but he only had eyes for Devontae. But also, I think losing that tight end hurt him a lot too, right? He liked that time, and they don't throw to him, and they just threw it to Devontae, and he had a lot of throwaways, and he was not sharp, that's for sure. And neither was the other guy. I mean, Garoppolo's getting credit.
Terrible.
He didn't do anything, but they gave him that last touchdown. But even if the Packers had won that game, 10-6, it would have been nothing to write home about. That's for sure. It was I thought it was much more of a clunker for him than last year when they lost to Tampa.
Yes. And I thought, and LaFleur, has got to probably learn some things about big game coaching as well.
Yes, he does. And did you see they showed him over on that sideline, and he was talking like crazy to Rodgers and sitting on the bench there, and Rodgers was paying no attention to him. Or
really?
maybe that was Nathaniel Hackett. I don't know. Maybe that was, I don't know. Does he I don't know if he calls plays from upstairs or downstairs, but LaFleur calls the plays from the field. But it was a horrible performance for the Packers. There's no doubt about it.
Well, I say whoever the Vikings hire, they should go draft a new Patrick Mahomes. That's
right.
Just that easy, right? It's the. I mean, this league has become such a. I mean, it's always been about the quarterbacks, but it's just ridiculous what these elite guys can do. And just watching Allen and Mahomes making plays with their feet and their arm, it's what the Vikings haven't had for a long time.
No, that's true. That's the whole thing. These guys are both 6'4", 225.
Allen's like trying to tackle a cement mixer. That guy is just huge.
Yeah, he is, and this isn't the year to get one of those anyway, because there's no quarterbacks in this draft. Basically, it's probably the worst quarterback draft of the last 10 years. I don't think anybody's even going to be able to try to convince themselves to take one of these guys anywhere in the top 15. So, but there's probably a Cousins, you and I had that debate. I was thinking that Cousins didn't have a market, but you look around and, Stafford having a rebirth sort of, and a guy like Tannehill getting a chance against, somebody will probably take Cousins off their hands. But I don't think there's the only trouble with is if Rodgers is leaving,
right?
You can win this division at 9-8 next year.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was thinking about that the other day when they lost. I was like, well, if he's gone, this division suddenly is definitely up for grabs, and
already pathetic, and this would make it very winnable. But I don't know what they're gonna end up doing. As I wrote Sunday, I want a general manager who's running this operation.
Yes,
I don't want the coach to come in and whine and moan and get his way. If he can come in, I'll talk to him, but I'm making the decisions, and I don't know what we're going to hear about collaboration. And they're going to hire this 36-year-old kid from Kansas City, so that'll be interesting. You hope you're right. You hope you're hiring the right guy.
Yep, I agree. Well, I'm going to have Brad Childress, former Vikings coach, on the show in a couple of days. I have to ask him about how all that relationship stuff plays out between the head coach and the GM. One more.
Ask him if he and Fran Foley still exchange Christmas cards.
He probably didn't even get it. Didn't even have time to get his address. He wasn't here
January 26th to May 3rd. Fran Foley. That's how long he lasted.
It was amazing.
Yeah. That was a false start for the Wilfs as far as hiring right there. So,
speaking of the Packers game, remember, notice how Alex Rodriguez was there in a Packers hat, had to go on Bally Sports North Sunday night to tell everybody he's not a Packers fan. Everybody calm down. That was a fun.
Who was his female companion? Do we know?
I don't know. I did not go too deep on that one, but
yes,
he was at the game on Sunday night when the Wolves again got back to 500. The Nets can't play defense, which is convenient for them.
Well, they don't have any size either. They got one big guy, and he fouls out, and they don't have any with no Durant, and they don't really have any. They don't have much size, that's for sure.
It was a sneaky good sports weekend for Minnesota fans. You get the Wolves win, you get the Wild win twice, the Gophers beat Rutgers, and the Packers lost. It was you don't get much better than that for this time of year for local sports.
Yes, the Packers lost. We threw that one in the category. The Gopher win Saturday was unbelievable. Who are these guys? It's incredible. not only do you have transfers from New Hampshire and William and Mary and all these places that nobody else wanted, but the one great transfer you got, Jamison Battle, there's no player in the country more important to his team than Jamison Battle. He doesn't play, and somehow they beat a Rutgers team that had won 5 in a row or something like that. It's and is a pretty talented team. And congratulations to Sutherland. That was a Brad Davison worthy flop he took to win that game at the end. That was a big league. Hit the floor so quick that the referee has to call it, even though he calls it before he even knew what he saw. It was a fantastic flop by Sutherland to win the game. So
yes, it was. Now here's the thing I'm curious about with the Gophers. Like, once, obviously they're doing it with, these guys transferring in from all over the place, getting the little contributions from some other guys now out of necessity. Once they get more of their type of player in, and this isn't a cute little story anymore, I'm just curious how the perception will follow. Expectations were 0 going into the year. So
can you get? Yes, you're right. I mean, as Ben Johnson is going to have more talent, there's going to be more disappointment when you lose a game here and there, right? Obviously. Yes. I mean, he's certainly, but the big thing for him is he's made a great impression, because there was a chance. And I thought they'd go 2-18 in the Big Ten. I thought they'd be a complete joke.
I thought that was generous. I thought they might be worse than that.
Yeah, and it would have just been, people would have just drifted off, and I don't think they would have started ripping them. They would have just paid no attention at all, right?
Right.
And now it's, he's the best coach we've had since Clem. And, well, that's covering small territory there. But yeah, you're right. I was thinking the same thing. It'll be interesting when he gets better recruits. Can he possibly get them to play as hard as these guys do?
Right.
Or as long. I mean, Trayton Thompson, the big kid, they wouldn't play him because he couldn't guard anybody. And Saturday, he has to play 40 minutes. They play in the zone. They put him in the zone most of the time and said, here, don't screw up too badly. But it was, people wonder why Thompson wasn't playing more. Well, somebody told me he can't guard anybody. If you let him guard one-on-one, he's still just a kid trying to figure it out.
Sure.
So, but there's no doubt. I mean, effort should be a given in all things. I don't like giving people too much credit because they play hard, but in this case, they're playing 40 minutes and they're not as good as the other guy. Generally speaking, they're playing against a more talented player than them, right?
Yes.
Right. So you got to give him a lot of credit. Effort's all you got then, right? And he's certainly getting it out of them. And that crowd, I don't know how large the crowd was at 11 in the morning, but they were loud, that's for sure, watching on TV.
Yeah, I don't think it was a big crowd, but you're right. It was probably a loud crowd at least. And did you see what your Wild did the other night? Your favorite thing happened.
Oh, they pulled the goalie.
The goalie and scored again.
I know it. I want to know why. Why are they, in all 100 years of the NHL, the best pulling the goalie team in history? It's done 13 times, right?
Yeah, 13 times they've scored with an extra attacker. I think in 12 of those were 6-on-5 at the end of the game. Yeah,
at the pull of the goalie. That's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Louis called me yesterday about something else, and we talked about it for 10. I said, Louis, what's going on? He said, he gave me a couple of things, but it's incredible. I was watching the end of that, and I knew they were going to score, didn't you?
Yeah.
One reason they do it is he doesn't wait. Right?
Yes. He does it with like 3 or 4 minutes left in the game.
Yeah, he doesn't wait. If he's a goal behind and there's 4 minutes or less to go, if there's a face-off down at their end, he's at the other team's end. Here they come. The goalie's out of there. And it's incredible. They don't give up any goals. that I wonder, goalie pulled, there has to be twice as many goals scored after you pull them for the other team than you score, right?
I would think so. Yeah.
The ratio has got to be 2-1 or
at least. Yeah.
3-2 at least. These guys, it's incredible. It's comical almost. I mean, twice he did it with 8 minutes to go and 3 goals down. And I saw him one. I think he did that in the outdoor game. Right?
Yes, and they got back to 6-4.
But he'd done it before too. He'd done it a game where they had the puck for like 7 minutes and had got it that was 6-4 too. And they had it for 7 minutes. And finally some guy threw it in from 140 feet away, to get him. But it's a phenomenon that and I'm sure they don't want to explain what they're doing either, but it's incredible.
Yeah, no, they've pulled out like 5 or 6 games this year that they really probably didn't have much business winning, aside from the fact that they're just good in that area. They're good at that weird little thing that they can do.
I said to Louis, now the big screw up is you're behind, 3-2, was it? 3-2?
Yes.
You're behind 3-2, you tie it. I said, why do you put the goalie back in? Go get the winner.
Go get the win. Well, they won in
overtime, but I said, don't take the chance on overtime. Just keep the goalie pulled.
That would be brazen. Keep the goalie pulled in a tie game with a minute left. That would be amazing. We have that much confidence.
Yes,
that much confidence in goalie
we got
pulled.
An 80% chance of scoring if we do that. So let's do it that way. Come on.
Full throttle. Well, it was, as soon as that happened the other night, I knew I was going to have to bring that up to you. Well,
hey, one thing before we run here. I mean, we've got a couple other things going on, but Yoka Lee, I think I'm pronouncing her first name, Byron, Minnesota. I got to admit, I never heard of her. 6'6" junior at Kansas State. She got 61, the most ever in women's college in the women's Division I basketball.
I know. It's amazing. Night. 61 points.
61 points. The record was 60, and one of the record holders was Rachel Banham.
Yeah, that's right. Because she had. That's 60. Right. Yeah, I remember when she had that game.
Yeah. So, congratulations to this kid I'd never heard of. So,
Kansas State. Against Oklahoma. It was against a good team too. It was against Oklahoma. They're the 14th ranked team in the country.
Yeah, it was an upset too. So anyway, local. She's a local.
We love our locals. Well,
yes, we do. Or any team that beats the Packers.
Every team that beats the Packers. Yes, that is. Twitter was a buzz on Saturday night with all the vaccination jokes. It was old Twitter. Twitter was back for 3 hours, and it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Patrick. Thank you, sir. Be well. We'll be back at it again next week. All right.
All right, sir. Thank you.